Okay, so Senator Ted Cruz have been in the news lately with the recent designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. And recently he just tweeted something and he also attached a video to this particular tweet. Let me read what he posted and then I'll show you the video. It says, I have been pushing legislation to designate Nigeria a CPC, that's a country of particular concern, and to impose sanctions on the Nigerian officials responsible. And thank you, President Trump, for his leadership in imposing the designation, and more broadly for fighting to stop the murder of Christians in Nigeria. Now we should take the next step in and hold Nigerian officials accountable. I intend to be very explicit about who they are in the coming days and weeks. This means that Ted Cruz is about to enlist the people who are responsible for the gruesome killing of Christians in Nigeria. Do you think it's a welcome development for you as someone who is interested in the parties and what's going on? Tell me what you think in the comments, really, and to what extent, really.
So this weekend, President Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. That is tremendous news. It's something that I've been advocating for a long time. There is no country on earth where Christians are more persecuted than Nigeria. Since 2009, more than 50,000 Christians have been murdered by Boko Haram and radical Islamic extremists. More than 20,000 churches and schools have been burned to the ground. I introduced legislation to direct the administration to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. President Trump has done that. Thank you, President Trump. We're going to keep the fight going to protect Christians and to protect religious liberty.
Let's hear what you've got to say. Johnson Agiriga says, thank you, Senator Cruz, for your moral clarity and commitment to horrific genocide against Christians in Nigeria. The issue has gone on for too long because the Nigerian government are complicit in it. How does it make sense that we have more Christians killings in Nigeria than all the deaths in Gaza? Yet the Nigerian president and his vice, who are both Muslims, are more concerned about Gaza than Nigeria. Okay, and referring to the UN speech by the vice president, I'm sure also you must have seen that video. If you haven't seen it, here is a snippet.
We are all witnesses to the heart-wrenching situation in Gaza and other Palestinian territories. We cannot discuss war and peace, conflicts and resolution, or humanitarian imperatives today without reflecting on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that has been raging since 7th August last year. Of course, the conflict predates this period and has been simmering for a better part of half a century. What it tells us is that the international community has failed to live up to the spirit and aspirations of the United Nations to rid the world of inequality, violence, and domination of one people by another. Justice is antithetical to revenge. Freedom is an inalienable right and a natural entitlement that cannot be denied to any people. The Palestinian people deserve their independence. They deserve to have a home of their own in territories already recognized by this very assembly and by international law, which is being routinely ignored. Nigeria continues to urge efforts to bring back on track the two-state solution that offers the prospect for a new beginning for the region. Nigeria reaffirms to supporting United Nations peacekeeping operations. We recognize the need for Africa to build strong and professional armies to meet the multiple challenges we face. Consequently, we reiterate the call for international support to operationalize the African Standby Force, in addition to the provision of requisite support and resources to ensure the upgrade, take-up, and effectiveness.
Sutton Zander says, yes, in 2014, an APC opposition delegation led by Buhari and including Tinubu petitioned U.S. officials in Washington about Nigeria's insecurity under Jonathan, spotlighting Boko Haram's attacks and disproportionately targeting Christians in churches and villages. And one would wonder, really, since then up until now, what has changed. Abiodun says, I've been thinking about this a lot, and maybe it's just me, but the world's people like Ted Cruz operate in. The world people like Ted Cruz operate in doesn't look anything like the one the rest of us wake up to. You and I are just trying to get through the week without losing our minds. School runs, work stress, one or two small joys here and there, nothing dramatic. But their world, it feels like they see ordinary people the way a chess player sees pawns, useful only when they are moving you closer to a win. And if a few pieces get sacrificed along the way, well, that's part of the game, right? At least to them. I sometimes wonder if they even notice the cost, or if it's all just numbers on a page. If anyone more honestly believes these people are losing sleep over saving lives somewhere far from home, I don't know. Maybe we are watching different documentaries. They don't rescue. They rebrand. Look at Al Jawlani. One season he was the villain everyone feared. Next season they dressed him up, polished his image, and somehow he became acceptable. Almost like a character rewrite. Almost like a character rewrite in a TV show. Same history, same blood, just better lighting. Well, great write-up and great thoughts there, but then let's see what happens with this one. Imagine the people leading and deciding over 250 million people in Nigeria. This is evil on your own land. If this is not treasonable offense, I don't know what is. It's an interesting development, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody was posting about videos about something that has happened in Benue State recently, and saying that the death hasn't ended just yet. People are still being killed in North Central Benue. Ben Samuel says, can someone please explain why we need the U.S. government to remind our elected leaders in Nigeria to protect all citizens, regardless of religion? Tragically, we either keep electing the absolute worst amongst us to lead, or we let the worst seize control. No country would tolerate criminals openly carrying weapons the way terrorists do in Nigeria, where they seem to have free reign to kill at will and escape any consequences. This other person is also crying loud and stating clearly that all Nigerian politicians are involved and should be held responsible for the insecurity in Nigeria. They are only interested in looting our wealth while using the state's security architecture as their private security. We have evil politicians in charge, and the citizens are complicits. Quite an interesting development, if you ask me, and it's one that everyone is looking at and saying to themselves that, please, it's about time that the U.S. coming. But again, there's also a little fear that all of the places that U.S. have been to, they haven't really done it so well. They haven't left there perfectly okay. I mean, if you look at the likes of Libya, the likes of Afghanistan, the places that they have dropped their boots, they have tried to intervene, they never leave that place the way they met it, or even better. It's always been worse. And for them, most of the time, according to the other school of thought, is about resources. Nigeria's got so much resources stuck in its land, and so maybe this may just be an opportunity for them to break into it and maybe negotiate something for the American people. And it's just so many things. So many school of thoughts also think that the current President Tinubu, supported Kamala Harris and even paid the sum of $250 million for her campaign, but so many persons have said that that was really false, and that couldn't have been. But then who knows? If this is in the realm of politics, you never could tell. Donald Trump is the kind of guy who really doesn't forgive, especially when you hurt him. So who knows? But fingers crossed. We'll bring you up to speed when anything develops. We are here for it. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.